line.
I'm screaming, I'm dying. I'm dying. And I would expect a little bit of reassurance that, you're going to be okay.
An ambulance company under fire.
Can people make mistakes? Can they let their guard down? Sure. I know that.
Missing medications and slow response times. KXAN investigates complaints against Guardian EMS.
So the people of Bastrop, they can rely on safe ambulances?
Absolutely.
Every second counts in an emergency, and you expect the best care when you call 911.
Tonight, we investigate the kind of care people in Bastrop County receive when they call for help. KXAN investigator Robert Maxwell reveals what he found after 4 months of digging.
I told the 911 dispatcher that because we live out here in the boondocks, and it's hard to see from the road, I turned the Christmas lights on.
After Neil and Mahala Hethorn called for an ambulance last March, the response was far from what they expected when a Guardian EMS paramedic arrived.
I mean, I'm like just doubled over and just screaming, crying. And he wouldn't do anything to help me. And it was horrible.
Mahala had woken up in agony with a tear in an ulcer that would take emergency surgery to repair.
Wouldn't touch her. He cared more about those black gloves and arranging them on his hand than helping her get to the... That's their job, to put the patient on the gurney.
Theirs is one of dozens of complaints and problems we found with Guardian EMS. Most recently, in October, a Guardian ambulance failed an inspection from the Department of State Health Services. A state inspector determined some medicines were not at required amounts, and the ambulance's windshield was cracked in multiple places. And that wasn't the first time. In these two failed inspections from January, Bastrop ambulances were also missing the required amount of medicines on board. And that time, the inspector found a rear taillight was broken and the air conditioning didn't work. Guardian staff say they've fixed the medicine stocking problem. Now, in the company's stockroom, there's a new computer inventory program. But the problems don't end there.
Bastrop County 911, what is your emergency?
Dawn Adams manages the Bastrop County Emergency Communications Center, where 911 calls come in. The calls are then redirected to Guardian.
Okay, ma'am, we do have help on the way.
It's the expectation of the public that when they call 911, they should get instructions on what to do till help arrives.
Do you need police, fire, or EMS?
Adams says her staff has to stay on the phone because Guardian's dispatchers often don't. You consider them a weak link?
Yeah, very, unfortunately.
What's the address?
And finding call locations has been an issue, too. One county email from January says, Guardian screwed up a stroke call royally tonight. They used their GPS instead of MapBook again and took the very extended route. They're still lost.
One of the reasons why we stay on the phone is because typically, when we get the 911 call, we can plot the address on some very sophisticated 911 maps. Guardian doesn't have any of those tools.
Guardian's operations chief, Ross Bradley, refutes the dispatch difficulty.
Because that sounds like it's an occurrence that happens every time. And it does not happen every time. There have been a few isolated incidences, and on those isolated incidents, we have addressed that.
KXAN also looked into Guardian's response times. The day we rode along, it took fewer than 10 minutes to get to this rollover. And overall, they are in compliance with the county contract. It requires most of the time, and city limits, an ambulance must make it to a life-threatening call in less than 10 minutes. But this year alone, we found dozens of calls that took much longer, sometimes as long as 33 minutes. In rural areas, they're supposed to make it in less than 20 minutes. Sometimes, though, they took as long as 45 minutes. To hold the county accountable, we went to Bastrop's emergency operations chief. Mike Fisher says right now he can't do much about the complaints other than direct them to Guardian.
In 2013, are taxpayers in Bastrop County getting the best service from Guardian EMS that they can?
That's a difficult question. Are they getting perfect service? The answer is no. No question about that. Are they getting quality service? In my opinion, more often than not, high degree, yes, they are.
The Hethorns say they didn't get the quality they deserve. This was Guardian's response to their complaint. That corrective action had been taken with the ambulance crew who came to their home in March, and they would contact Mr. Hethorn directly.
That's news to me.
And we showed that email to Neil Hethorn that day we visited him. Told us it was the first time he'd seen it. We also learned the company's regional operations chief at the time, Mike Taylor, resigned after our investigation started. His supervisor, the man you saw in the story, Ross Bradley, wouldn't specifically say why, Bradley, though, does go on to say he's now bringing in a more of an open management system to reduce errors. And tonight at 10, Robert and Leslie will share much more about our 4-month-long investigation into Guardian EMS.
Well, Robert, what about county leaders? Are they looking at any changes?
We are looking into that at 10, of course, and they're now starting to make some steps into the long-term transparency of EMS in Bastrop County. Keep in mind, this is a county like a lot in Central Texas where population centers are getting more urbanized all the time.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much. You can check out Robert's story online at KXAN.com. We have more details about Guardian's response times, its inspection reports, and a radio call revealing more problems surrounding this company. That's online now at KXAN.com.
And if you have an issue you'd like KXAN to check out, send us an email to investigates@KXAN.com or call our tip line.